Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the new moon in Taurus video, the solar eclipse or partial solar eclipse that's happening today as the new moon takes place as well. For those of you who have been to my channel before, you know that I will be reading from my laptop. For those of you who haven't been to my channel before, this is my intuitive interpretation that I write down initially on my laptop, and then I read through it as there's a lot of information, and in particular there is a huge amount of information at this time for these next 2 weeks from the solar eclipse leading right up to the lunar eclipse that's going to be happening on the 16th. So a lot of information to partake. Again, I will be starting the reading off with the cards that fit this time. So we have the new moon energy itself. New moon's all about initiation, something new, starting something new, creating something new, new ideas coming in, new projects. Anything that's new at this time of the new moon is always a good idea to plant a seed for it at this time, and with it being in a Taurus element, the earth element itself, it's also going to be very fertile and probably a really good time to sow that seed in that fertile soil. So it says prosperity lies ahead because the Taurus energy is all about resources. It's about what we need in order to be able to thrive and survive, really. That's really what the Taurus energy is about. Pleasure as well, happiness, ruled by Venus, ruled by the planet of love and values. So the last energy that we have here is the fixed energy of this moon, Taurus being a fixed sign. Hold your vision, which is going to be quite important at this time because there's going to be a lot of chaos happening all around us over these coming months, as a lot of the planets are going to start retrograding. But this solar eclipse is a bit of a whammy, basically, to say the least, and it's going to lead into another really powerful full moon in Scorpio. So it's kind of like we're going to get hit by this solar eclipse energy, and then we're going to get hit by the full moon energy after that as well, and it's just going to take us right the way through, really, to the end of the year. So I'm going to start the reading with a oracle card from the Spirit Animal deck. I've already shuffled them, so I need to just give them a quick shuffle before choosing. Oh, that one's just leapt out at me. And it is the Horse Spirit in reverse. So freedom is yours is what it's saying, and that's really very relevant because Uranus is a big player at this time, Uranus being all about freedom. But it did come out in reverse, and it's number 33. Interesting number. So what is the Horse Spirit in reverse telling us? It's saying, are you feeling stuck? Has your spirit been broken by challenges you have faced? Your current choices may not seem the best, but you are not seeing the clearing ahead where you can break free and run. Whatever your choice is right now, they can lead you to exhilarating freedom. So trust the guidance of Spirit. Horse Spirit is here to tell you that adventure calls, and you will soon realize your power is greater than you think. Perhaps your frustration and feelings of being fenced in are the result of being too much on your high horse, unwilling to come down to earth and join the herd that wants to support you. Being in control and in charge can be overrated. It's time to loosen up, drop the reins, let go, and prance with others just for the fun of it. So that's an interesting energy to get for this Taurus new moon. with Uranus, which is, as I was saying, all about freedom. It's in the Taurian sign at this time, and it is also very much involved in this solar eclipse energy big time as well. So the reading is going to be called, or I'm calling it, the New Moon Partial Solar Eclipse in Taurus, Bringing Heaven to Earth Amidst the Chaos. So when I talk about heaven to earth, I'm kind of literally talking about the planets really, rather than heaven as in the idea of it being this kind of place, although in an idyllic way it kind of is. It's about bringing the new earth in, really, is how I'm kind of expressing that, the new earth that is coming from a higher dimension. So the divine masculine sun energy conjuncts the divine feminine moon energy during the time of a new moon. This new moon, taking place at 10 degrees 28 minutes in the earth-ruled fixed sign of Taurus, brings with it the first eclipse of this eclipse season. As it is a new moon, this is a solar eclipse, where the moon passes between the sun and the earth. It is, however, only a partial solar eclipse, as the north node is still only at 23 degrees, 11 minutes of Taurus, so it's not close enough to the new moon for it to be a full eclipse. This new moon is taking place on the 30th of April at 21 hours 28 minutes. It's actually just happened as I'm doing this right now, because I'm a bit late getting this together and getting it done. So it has just taken place. It's now 21:30. So the solar eclipse is also taking place right now. But in the UK, which is where I am, we're not going to be able to see that, one because it's got dark now, but also because it's happening mostly across Antarctica and the Pacific, I think, as well. Other areas, let me just have a quick look, I did have it here, Southwest and South America, the Pacific, Atlantic and Antarctica. So any of those spots, and that's where it's going to be happening, and those are the kind of areas that are going to be mostly affected by this solar eclipse at this time as well, when it comes to kind of like being on the world stage, shall we say. So again, the timing is going to be different in other parts of the world as well. So if you have any planets or points at the 0, 5 to 15 degrees of this sign, you are going to be feeling the extremity of this intensely charged solar eclipse new moon. Also, for those who have anything at the same degrees of the other fixed signs, especially opposing 180 degrees angles of Scorpio, Scorpios are going to be affected quite strongly by this solar eclipse. And they're going to be even more affected by the lunar eclipse. And also the two 90-degree squares of both Leo and Aquarius as well. So if you've got anything at those 5 to 15 degrees of any of those fixed signs, you will feel this solar eclipse, and it will have a big effect in your life as well over the next 6 months, because that's how long an eclipse energy lasts. And we will have already been feeling that eclipse energy coming in, because it kind of comes in as a wave like a month beforehand. So already we're beginning to see things happening, maybe personally in our lives, and also like collectively on a bigger scale as well. Check out your chart to see where this 10 degrees of Taurus falls for you. And if you don't know where any of these houses are or where these degrees are, if you don't know your own personal charts, there will be a link in the description box down below for you to go and check that out for yourselves. Always good to have your own birth charts and be able to kind of take note of what's happening on a personal level in your life. And it's going to manifest over the next 6 months in your personal house placement is where you will feel it the strongest. So whichever house placement this solar eclipse is falling in is the area of your life that will be most affected by it over these coming 6 months. And so for the collective, we are going to experience this new moon solar eclipse through the second Venus-ruled house of romance, sensuality, beauty, the arts, security, resources, what we possess, call our own. It also covers our personal well-being, our personal wealth, our food, agriculture and financial systems, what we value in our lives and why we value what we do, as well as fertility, abundance and prosperity. So all of those things of the second house are going to be affected at this time. And the fixed energy of Taurus, which is very practical energy as well, can be very stubborn and very kind of down to earth and dig their heels in and not budge. And this could actually be very much in our favour at this time, as everything is going to become very chaotic. There could be the need to kind of stick with what you believe or what you know to be true to you as well. So during this solar eclipse, the moon and sun are in a triple conjunction with Uranus at 14 degrees 32 minutes. The planet of awakening, shocking, sudden, unexpected changes and revolution that forces us to take a different perspective and approach to the life we are living. So add this in with the solar eclipse energy, which is also about kind of events that shift gears in kind of quantum leaps forward as well. And we've got a really potent mix at this time. And so, you know, it's going to very much radically change the ways all of us have been living our lives and are going to be living our lives in the future. And this energy is going to carry us right through until October. And this solar eclipse triple conjunction is also in a sextile with Mars at 11 degrees 53 or 12 degrees of Pisces, which is also increasing the already intense volatile nature of these energies. Mars being the warrior energy, the war type energy, the dynamic pushing forward energy, trying to get things done, which can be a very kind of headstrong energy as well. So it's our drive, passion, yeah. At this new moon, he's offering encouragement and support to trust that massive revolutionary changes are taking place, even if at this time they are still behind the scenes, because Mars is in Pisces, so things may not be as clear cut and easily seen as what is taking place behind the scenes. Literally, kind of, there's more happening behind the scenes than what we can see outwardly at this time with this Mars energy here as well. And also, like with this, I always see Neptune energy as kind of the curtain is beginning to be kind of raised up, and we're beginning to get kind of glimpses behind that scene. So we're beginning to see more of the behind the stage effects, so to speak, of the production that's taking place. So in the 12th house of Pisces, much is yet to be revealed. Mars is stirring up the desire to put the higher truth of Uranus into action to help drive the great revealing and awakening forward. And it's interesting because I keep getting this horse energy coming back into my head as well, kind of saying that, you know, that freedom that has been denied us for so long is not going to be denied us for much longer. We are going to start to kind of, like a herd, really kind of push forward. Like if you think of a herd of horses who are wild, untamed, and just kind of going full steam ahead, then it's not easy to stop that kind of energy. So yeah, this truth of Uranus into action to help drive the great revealing and awakening forward through an awareness on a deeper level from our subconscious. And it kind of felt like this Mars energy is a bit like a hornet on a summer's day that won't leave us alone. He's pushing us to awaken from our slumber of complacency, lethargy and apathy to all the lies, deception, hypnotic fakery and illusory mind-numbing media. The 12th house also rules over our unknown or unseen enemies, which can often be ourselves if we are not smart enough to recognise those who act against us. Not only are we dealing with a supercharged super eclipse energy, we are also still in the midst of the ongoing Neptune 24 degrees 7, Jupiter 24 degrees 57 conjunction. So we've just come off of that on the 12th of April. So we're still in that energy. And this conjunction, which will continue up until the 19th of May. So it's actually going to go over the lunar eclipse energy as well. It will still be happening during the lunar eclipse too. So only now this has become another triple conjunction. So once again we've got a stellium of energies in Pisces. So that Pisces energy again is really highlighted as we have Mars, Venus, Neptune and Jupiter all still there at this time. And it's all kind of sextile some of the things that are happening in Taurus as well. Mars in particular. So connecting the two energies like Taurus and Pisces energy are very much kind of main players of the energy at this time, shall we say, the 2nd house and the 12th house energies. Sorry about this. Sometimes I kind of say things and then I kind of forget that I've already written it down, and then I go back and I kind of look to try and see where I'm at. So it can be a bit disjointed. So we have this triple conjunction with Jupiter, Neptune and Venus all taking place. And Venus is the ruler of the solar eclipse energy, of course, as well. So that's emphasizing that Taurus 2nd house energy even more. Finances, romance, food, agriculture, again, resources, really. I like to see Taurus as that kind of survival energy in the sense that it's everything that we need. Like if you think of Taurus as being the earth energy itself, literally like the planet Earth, then everything we need comes from the planet Earth. So it's all the resources that we use on a daily basis, and it's all very much highlighted at this time, which is why we're hearing things about the kind of resources being affected big time at this time as well. Although you won't hear an awful lot of that on the mainstream news, I must say. So alternative means are the place to look. Alternative sources are where you need to go to really find this information, but it's important information that is worth knowing about. So but it's interesting because I often think to myself, when I'm seeing these things being kind of expressed on these channels, it's like they don't know the reason why it's happening. They know it's happening. They know that there's going to be this kind of food chain breakdown which is taking place, but they don't realize that that's kind of because of this 2nd house energy is really being affected by Uranus. And you also hear the term Great Awakening being used a lot as well, but again they don't realize that that's because Uranus is in the 2nd house. So it's just interesting to put it all into the astrological terms and to see it on a clearer level, which is kind of what I'm meaning about like heaven coming onto earth even amongst the chaos of everything that's going on at this time. So yeah, So Venus joined this party with Neptune and Jupiter just after the 21st of April, which was the day after the Sun entered Taurus as well. So this has given it an extra emphasis to all that is happening and all that is about to take place. At the solar eclipse new moon, Venus has just previously passed over Neptune on the 27th of April, having just come off a strong sextile with Uranus, helping to activate and give her support to all the changes we are experiencing and going to experience more of within the world of finance, resources, agriculture, our food supply chains, as well as our ideas around what personally feels good for us, particularly in the realm of our relationship choices. So on the 30th, Venus at 24 degrees 55 minutes is now at an exact conjunction, -2 minutes with Jupiter, the planet of amplification, truth, higher knowledge, wisdom and freedom. There's that freedom again. These three together represent big, expansive love. Neptune is the more spiritual, higher, refined octave on the love frequency scale, so to speak. It's more of a purer energy with the level of kind of sacred light and resonance to it. It's more a divine energy. It's more of the higher, purer, divine energy when it's in its higher energy level. That's kind of like on the frequency scale. That's not to say that all Pisces are that way, but there is always that potential. But when Neptune itself is, the planet itself is connecting with something like Jupiter and Venus, it's really going to bring all of the kind of higher octave energy into our kind of energy fields, because Neptune is more of a 5D energy. Venus is the lower vibration of this on a more 3D physical level of falling in love or feeling love. Whereas Neptune is that greater love for all of humanity. Whereas Venus is our more down-to-earth choice of who we fall in love with. Neptune is spiritual love, compassion, empathy. It's that feeling of awe we experience at the overall grandeur and beauty of a sunrise, or a sunset, or a starry sky at night, snow-peaked mountains. It's like when we recognise that there's something much more bigger at play than just kind of us alone. It's a deeper, more profound feeling of something. So this is profound love and a call to our own divine nature, to recognise our deepest dreams, hopes, desires and inspirations, as we are all part of the same universal source energy. And this is a time to create our amazing new futures beyond what we are seeing in the 3D reality. We are, however, going to see this manifest itself more and more as a great division, also known as splitting timelines, as the shifting frequencies move into higher vibrational tones and more awaken to it to ride that wave. While those were still resonating on the lower vibration of destruction, violence, aggression, hatred, lust, fear and power, which are all kind of in a way, they're all kind of very scorpionic energies as well. The lower vibrational scorpionic energies, which is where we have the South Node at this time as well, which is kind of helping to bring that divide energy about. Not that it's a good energy, because really we want to be bringing things together with more unity, but there is this kind of shift of vibration at this time. So those with the ideas of separation and control through colour, class, creed, education, nationality, or any other way they can think of to come up with will continue to attract more of the same energetic frequency. And equally, the same will be happening for those who are shifting into the higher, creative, loving, compassionate, unity, empathic, spiritual dimension of unconditional love and oneness with Source, God, Goddess, the Divine Father, the Divine Mother of universal energy, whichever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what we choose to call it. This is about the feeling, the inner knowing that we are resonating with that calling of something so much more profound and mysterious that can only be felt, not understood through the analytical mind process. And that again is kind of that division between love and fear as well. Are you vibrating from that lower level of fear, or are you moving up into more of a vibration of love and knowing that things are going to be okay and that you're going to be taken care of, and trusting there is so much more happening at this time than what we can understand the reasoning for. So this is the overtone of this powerful and profound triple conjunction, which is asking us to also recognise, as I have previously spoken about, who or where do we defer our power to, as Venus and Jupiter are also connecting with the planet of power, creation, destruction and transformation. They are in an easygoing, compatible, cooperative sextile with Pluto, which is all well and good, but Pluto should never be underestimated, especially when he is now standing still in the sky, at least from Earth's vantage point, having stationed retrograde on the 29th at 28 degrees 35 in Capricorn. This happened just before the new moon solar eclipse in Taurus. So this was on the 29th, new moon on the 30th. So he's still standing still in the sky now. And he will continue to do so until the 1st of May, I think it is, when he'll start moving very, very, very slowly. So this, because he's stopped in the sky and because he's going to be moving very, very slowly as he starts to move forward, this magnifies all that energy. Again, any planet that goes retrograde, their energy is magnified and amplified. So Pluto's energy is especially so at this time, and Pluto again has been playing such a huge part in our lives for so long now, so long. And as he gets closer to the end of Capricorn, it seems that his energy is getting even stronger because of the connections that he's making with the other planets as well. So that powerfully magnified energy is also connecting with Jupiter as well. So that is really, as I was saying, like the connections that he's making with other planets. Jupiter is one of them at this time, and of course Venus as well. Really highlighting even more so that Pluto energy, because that's basically what Jupiter does. It kind of acts as a amplifier, like being under a magnifying glass and just everything else looking bigger than it actually is. And while I was writing this, I kept getting the words, is it the love of power or the power of love? And this kind of kept reminding me of the similar quote to Jimi Hendrix, which is, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And that just seemed to be very much resonant at this time as well, like, because Pluto is very strongly all about power, and we're seeing a lot of that taking place at this time as well. Tyranny being one of the main negative energies of the Pluto planet. So Taurus being ruled by Venus is where we have the North Node which is known as Rahu, or the dragon's head, which is the reason for this partial solar eclipse. The North Node is our karmic, fated, and in this case collective destiny. Everything Venus, Taurus and the second house represents is also being magnified, expanded and activated at this time. And we need to trust this experience as the guiding light of love in the darkness of Pluto's underworld, which is where we are heading for the next 5 months on a deep excavating purge of all that does not resonate with us individually as well as collectively. Pluto still working his way through Capricorn, where he's been since 2008, slowly but surely taking down the foundations of the corrupt criminal establishments since that time. Now he's about to take yet another long, slow, hard look at the power structures that have been underpinning our society, which he's going to do over these coming next 5 months. So Pluto entered his shadow period on the 6th of January 2022 at 26 degrees and 6 minutes, at which stage he was still yet to come out of his previous shadow retrograde period from 2021, where he stationed retrograde at 26 degrees 48. So this means that Pluto will once again cross over this 26 degrees 48 point, which he had reached on the 4th of January 2021. So kind of whatever was going on in your life back at that time as well, around that period of time, is also going to kind of come back under the Pluto microscope, I suppose, for want of a better word. It's going to be activated at this time as well. And I'm also going to be doing a short video, or a video about these energies of these crossing over, because Pluto and Neptune both do it. They are the only 2 planets that cross back over the last degree from where they retrograded the previous year. I hope you kind of understood that. But it kind of feels to me that that's a real shadow energy, even like, although it's kind of a shadow energy in itself anyway, it's almost like a really kind of intense shadow part of our story, if you like, or our lives. It's kind of what was going on at that time. Was it extra difficult or dark, or, you know, were we going through a really difficult period of time collectively or personally? So I'm going to kind of go back and do this video on that. So if you're interested, that will be put up on my channel over the coming weeks, because I just find it really interesting that this should be both Pluto and Neptune, the only 2 planets that do this. So so it will be worth, on a personal level as well, checking out that house placement to see again where Pluto is retrograding back in your own personal chart over these 26 to 28 degrees, or the 28 to 26 degrees, because it's going to go backwards. But those 2 degree points of Capricorn, where are they in your own personal chart? Because again, that's where it will show itself. So it's going to manifest in your own life. And that's where you're going to experience it on a kind of deeply kind of transformational level as well. So for the collective, this is the 10th house, representing the pyramidal structure of the few ruling over the many, that is being reevaluated, readjusted and realigned. That, however, is not all, as Pluto continues to be in an extremely long, ongoing T-square with both Eris, the non-conformist, feisty female warrioress equivalent of Mars, who doesn't back down easily. Eris has now reached 24 degrees 31 minutes of the fiery independent sign of the Ram, and as Pluto retrogrades, he will once more be moving into a tighter square with the goddess of chaos and strife. So the other part of this T-square is with Hermia, who is at 28 degrees 48 minutes, and she's in the balancing sign of fairness, justice and harmony, Libra. And Hermia is the Hawaiian goddess of creation, fertility and regeneration. And she is in a very tight square with Pluto. And she's at 28 degrees and Pluto is also at 28 degrees. So that energy is kind of challenging each other at this time. It's kind of clashing with each other at this time, the Hermia and the Pluto energy. But this is kind of indicating as well that the old paradigm is dying and the new is being born for the evolution of our soul's growth. But it's not an easy situation. It's not something that's kind of, it's not a sextile, so it's not kind of like easy flowing for us and just happening smoothly. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a bit like kind of, I suppose being in a boxing ring and kind of slugging it out in a way, kind of like the old paradigm versus the new paradigm. It's that same kind of energy, which is quite similar to the Uranus-Saturn energy in some ways as well. Because of course Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, so we have to remember that that is where he's actually the energy that Pluto is working through. However, to be able to allow this to take place, this regeneration, this rebirth of energies, we need to let go of the old, all our belief systems of this is how it is and always has been, always will be mentality. We need to allow all this to drop away, dissolve, and learn to accept and surrender to knowing that nothing is as we believe it to be. Everything is impermanent and constantly changing, growing and evolving, even if we can't see it directly. Because Pluto is also the planet of impermanence, and on a larger scale, it's like impermanence happens all the time, so nothing is ever permanent. People leave the planet, people come into the planet, new life is born, life leaves, even down to nature as well, like a leaf will fall off a tree and a new sprout will come out of the ground. It's like, you know, that is all change. It's constantly changing, even though we don't experience it like that, because to us it's like something that just happens. It's almost like it just, or that it seems that everything is staying the same, but nothing is ever staying the same in reality. It is all in constant flux and change. And so all three of these energies, when I say all three of these, I'm talking about Pluto, Hermia and Eris, are all Kuiper Belt objects. So they're known as KBOs, and that means that they are also way out beyond the mystery realm of Neptune. And so when we are dealing with anything outside of the Saturn 3D ruled physical realm, we are being influenced by that 5D higher vibrational energy. More to do on a subconscious level than on a conscious level of experiencing things. And this is helping us with this helping us with this plunging into the unknown, surrendering and dissolving into the divine, is another KBO known as Sedna, in a direct trine with Pluto. She's also in a quincunx or an inconjunct with Hermia at the same time as well. So Sedna is also at 28 degrees, 46 minutes of Taurus. And she herself is a really mysterious object. It still is uncertain as to whether she is a asteroid or whether she's a dwarf planet. I think she's been classed as a dwarf planet possibly, but nothing is like absolutely certain about Sedna because she is so far out past Neptune that very little is actually known about her. And she has a fantastically huge elliptical orbit that takes 11,406 years to complete. And even at her nearest point to Earth, Sedna is still way out beyond Neptune. So she never gets any closer than that. And the mythology of Sedna is a story of an Inuit girl who always felt different to the rest of her village. She didn't fit in and tried as much as her family could to make her follow the village tribe's traditions, rules, like everyone else. Sedna was having none of it. The short version of this story, which I have told before, is her following her heart, and through a series of fated events, she ends up as the goddess of the ocean. After leaving her safe and secure but restricting life behind her when she leaves the village with a shaman, a raven or teacher who turns up in her village. So her father, however, doesn't find it easy to let her go, and after finding her alone on an island, he forces her back into the boat. Raven is away at the time, but as they're leaving, he returns, he sees what's happening. He touches the ocean with his tip of his wing, and a storm springs up out of nowhere. The father panics and tries to make a deal with Raven for his life, for his daughter's. So he's willing to give his daughter back to Raven. But as he says this, he literally throws her over the side of the boat in absolute sheer panic and desperation and fear. But she manages to hold on to the side of the boat, and at that point he decides that he's going to cut off her fingers and free himself from her. Sedna kind of suddenly finds herself in this ocean, in this wild storm, drowning, and she sinks under the water, panicking as well in her fear. She begins to drown, and it is in this moment that something awakens in Sedna, and she remembers the teaching of Raven and her spiritual path. She remembers that she's on a spiritual path, that this is all a spiritual path for the growth of her soul. And in doing that, she now stops fighting the waves, and she dives deeper down into the water and discovers the oneness of all she is and the peace of all she is. And it is in that moment that she remembers her eternal self, her eternal soul self that can never die. And she lets go of everything and releases her physical personality and body outer image self, and allows her consciousness to expand into the sacredness of all life. So Sedna has been there working its way through this Taurian energy for a long time as well, because it's such a slow moving energy. I don't know exactly when Sedna entered into Taurus, but she's been there for quite some time, and she's going to be moving into Gemini fairly soon, which is going to change the energy yet again. She is playing a part at this time in all of this that is happening with this new birth of this new earth that is coming into being as the old Piscean energy dies and fades away, and we move more into that Aquarian energy that is coming in. So Pluto is trine with Sedna at this time of his stationing retrograde, and there is a lot to unpack in the Sedna story, but what comes through the strongest for me is the act of betrayal from someone she trusted had her best interests at heart. Interestingly though, had she not gone through all that suffering, she would not have transformed. And this seems to be the message at this time, as Sedna in Taurus is also in a strong 28-degree sextile with both Jupiter and Venus in Pisces, who are both conjunct with Neptune. So the world is going through massive evolutionary changes, and these connecting energies playing out in the 2nd Taurus, 10th Capricorn and 12th Pisces houses are a huge part of this change, which is leading us forward into a new dimension of spiritual growth, trusting our own inner knowledge and wisdom, having the courage and the trust to act from a place of love, not fear, and to help bring heaven to earth on an energetic level so we can manifest it in the physical reality. Sedna is reminding us we need to let go of all that has been previously in our history. But she is also in a difficult, uncomfortable connection with Hermia, who is also square with Pluto. So all three are at the 28-degree point. Both Pluto and Sedna are transformational energies of going down into the depths of our subconscious realm in order to discover the buried treasure of who we truly are. Hermia is giving us a bit of resistance here to allowing that process to take place in an easy flowing harmonious fashion. As I was saying earlier, this is not an easy birth that is taking place. But I do believe that, you know, whenever we get to the end of any era, any time period, if we are to look back in our history, we will see that it was never an easy time during that period of moving out of one energy and into the next energy. And there is also the concept of two worlds being formed here as well, two possible potential energies at play. And one is kind of that rigid control and tyranny over the masses, and the other is much more about the sovereign freedom and self-mastery of the individual. You can see my cat's tail. Hello, Missy. Yeah, I know. So Jupiter, who also has a rebellious edge of pushing back against being told what to do and how to do it, is also adding in his own push for the revealing of truths that are set to take us on a different path to the one the tyrannical would have us all go down, which we have been seeing and hearing a lot about as Mercury, who has just gone through Taurus, has just come off a conjunction with Uranus that started on 14th of April and became exact on the 18th of April at 13 degrees 48 minutes or 14 degrees, during which time Venus was also sextile this conjunction, and she herself became exact with Uranus at 13 degrees 2 hours later to that Mercury-Uranus conjunction as well. So once again kind of highlighting that Taurus energy. And what is very interesting about this is how the world's town square, as it's being called, Twitter of course, has now become literally known as the conversation of the moment. I mean, it's literally, everybody's calling it the town square, the world's town square, the global town square. But that happened on that 14th of April, just as Mercury and Uranus became conjunct on the 14th of April, was when Elon Musk put in his bid for the Twitter platform. So I find that really interesting. Mercury had just entered his shadow as well on the 26th of April at 26 degrees 5 minutes of Taurus, and he's going to be stationing retrograde on the 10th of May at 4 degrees 50 of Gemini. So he's also slowing down, getting ready to change direction during this period. The energy again is going to be amplified, or the characteristics of any planet is amplified. So anything to do with communication, the logical thinking mind, our day-to-day existence, planning, any short journeys, in general, computers, the media, or any difficult conversations we've been putting off having, as all have the capacity to go awry at this time. So if there's anything that needs to be done, try and get it done before the 10th of May. Anything of importance before the 10th of May, before he retrogrades, because he's going to go back over those degrees from the 4 degrees 50 of Gemini back to the 26.5 of Taurus. So he's going to move back into Taurus, go back over that same ground again. And it is during this period of time, during the Mercury retrograde, when anything can go awry to do with anything like communication, etc. So it's best not to buy anything major, of major importance. It's best also not to sign anything of major importance, or commit yourself to anything new at this time as well, if it can be avoided. It is always best to wait until after Mercury has stationed direct, which he will be doing on the 3rd of June. Yeah, on the 3rd of June. So it's going to give us the chance basically to kind of look back and reevaluate where we are in our own personal world, values, resources and relationships. And the following day, on the 11th of May, Jupiter is going to cross over the axis Mundi, the 0 degree 00 point of Aries, changing the dynamic of the conjunction with Neptune as well, because that is still ongoing. And it's going to kind of feel on a more personal level rather than kind of being out there energy. It's going to be more personal because it's in Aries. It's more the self, the sign of the self. Jupiter is going to be bringing in a deeper sense of soul searching for our own truth, pushing us forward to take action in huge leaps and bounds, taking the initiative to go for the new and creative ideas. He will give us courage to live in the now moment and let what no longer serves us remain in the past where it belongs, as he continues to sextile Pluto while also starting to connect with Salasha. Make and Pholus as he moves forward, which will become stronger connections during the lunar eclipse. So I'll talk more about that during the lunar eclipse. Prior to this, on the 2nd of May, we had retrograde Pluto once again reconnecting with Neptune, which happened and then stopped. This has been an ongoing process between the two because they're always kind of at that distance. And of course, Pluto is going to retrograde back towards Neptune, so that sextile with Neptune is going to become even stronger as well. The planet of mystery and the unknown, the 12th house of the unconscious, hidden and unseen. So all of that energy is also going to be amplified as well when Neptune goes retrograde too. So yeah, this is a long and ongoing sextile, which is going to have life and death kind of metamorphic effects on all of us. And it's going to take us right the way through to December 2023. So this sextile, as I was saying, it is long and ongoing right the way through the whole of that period. And everything is going to change dramatically during this period of our lives, not least because Pluto will move into Aquarius as well in March of 2023 for a very short period of time, although he will only reach 0 degrees and 21 minutes before he stations retrograde on the 1st of May and returns into Capricorn to finish off any unfinished business. So coming back to the present time, on the 4th of May, the Sun, Mars and Uranus will all be at 14 degrees. Then on the 5th, we are going to experience another major event of this Taurus season, as the Sun will become exact with Uranus at 14 degrees 47 of the steadfast and reliable bull. This, however, is going to be anything but that. So what I mean by that is that in Taurus season, everybody expects things to slow down. It's kind of like, oh, we're in Taurus season, things will slow down, things are going to be easier, laid back, relaxing. Like, you know, you think of the kind of Taurus energy, the plodding moving forward slowly but surely. But I mean, there is also that side of the bull that kind of like charges when it needs to, where it kind of, you know, head down, horns out, and just goes for it. And this Taurus season, I think, is one of those because of that Uranus energy that is there as well. So it's not going to be so laid back and such an easy ride, I don't think, during this Taurus season. There's a lot of shifting energies, there's a lot of changes, there's a lot of things that are connecting with each other. The Sun being conjunct Uranus is really going to highlight that Uranus energy, which is going to throw everything up into the air, basically. That's how it feels. It just feels as though everything is going to be thrown up into the air, literally, but also kind of definitely figuratively speaking. So Uranus has been making his way through Taurus since March 2019, pardon me, and we have already experienced massive ground shaking shifts of uncertainty and shocking kind of bolts of enlightening awakenings when it comes to what we believe gives us security in our lives. Now it's almost halfway through the second house, we are about to experience this energy on supercharge, as the Uranus energy already plays a huge part in this partial solar eclipse, which is also being activated by a sextile with Mars, as I was saying earlier. So this is really kind of fired up energy. You've got Mars, Uranus and the Sun all kind of connecting together. It's charged up energy, it's volatile, kind of anything could happen. Uranus, expect the unexpected, never kind of second guess what's going to happen with Uranus, because it will always shock and surprise. That's what Uranus is there to do. But while I was writing this, I also got this feeling that during this solar eclipse, this is also about kind of a partial rewiring that is going to take place. And it kind of came through as like, as the solar eclipse is taking place, as this energy is dimming, the moon is dimming the light of the sun, like our star basically, the information and the light that hits our planet is being kind of dimmed down, a dimmer switch is being put on it. And the moon kind of represents the people, it's the soul, it's our emotional body, our collective emotional body. And as it moves across the face of the sun, it's kind of going to affect different parts of our brain, is how it came through. And it's going to be, and I was getting this image of like it going offline. And what I was seeing, or partially offline, not fully offline, but I was being given this kind of image of this old-fashioned telephone board, which probably most people won't know much about. Lotus. But the old-fashioned telephone board was where someone would sit and they would unplug and replug a telephone line into different lines, literally by hand. So from one call to another call, as that call was being made. Like nowadays it's done by satellite and phone masts, and you know, we don't have to worry about it. But the point is, we will be coming back online through like a different connection. It's like we're going to be given these different connections somehow. And as this is all taking place outside of our bodies, this isn't necessarily just a brain thing, although it's going to kind of interconnect on an energetic level. This is happening kind of within our auric or energetic field, is how it was coming through. It was like plugging us into the matrix, only this matrix is on a higher frequency or consciousness level, which we are going to connect with over these coming 6 months. So this isn't something that's just going to kind of like, it's not like being plugged into like electric shock, having like being plugged directly into the mains. It doesn't feel like that. It feels more like a kind of gradual kind of plugging in, and something kind of being slowly put into our awareness and our psyche over the next coming 6 months. For some of us, this could be an upgrade in kind of empathic energies, suddenly being able to connect with others on a much deeper level than felt before. It could also, it's going to be different for different people, but it's based on our soul needs, was what I was kind of being told. And Uranus also connects us with the Kundalini energy, the third eye, also known as the pineal gland. So any of that kind of area is also likely to be more awoken, or awakened, should I say, and activated during this kind of unplugging and replugging. So in the physical 3D realm, however, we are going to see and experience the speeding up of more chaos as everything continues to collapse, as more and more secrets around financial crimes, sexual deviations, especially when it comes to children involving the higher echelons of our present society, are going to become exposed. We're going to need to stand strong and answer the call to our spiritual warrior selves. The sun, and I feel that that's kind of partly why this is happening as well, because we are going to need to kind of function from a different level from what we've functioned previously. So the sun will also be making another very powerful connection on the 13th of May when it becomes conjunct exact with the north and south nodes at 22 degrees 31 minutes. Both the sun and the north node are sextile Mars, square Saturn, sextile Neptune and trine Pluto. So all the big planets are at play here basically. The sun, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto. The only one that's missing there is Jupiter, but we do have Mars. While the south node is opposing the sun, trining Mars, square to Saturn, also square to Saturn, trine to Neptune and sextile Pluto. The north node in Taurus being where we are heading, while the south node in Scorpio is what we are leaving behind in order to enter into the Garden of Delights being offered by Taurus. We first need to acknowledge all the sewage that is floating up to the top that has been suppressed and kept secret, that is being revealed both on a personal and collective level, as the sun shines his spotlight on both nodes. On the 15th of May, the sun will then become square exact with Saturn at 24 degrees 55 minutes, while Saturn, the planet of karmic retribution, restriction, the hard taskmaster, and I also want to say mastery as well, because Capricorn or Saturn is also about mastery of ourselves as well. Again, not easy. Square Saturn, never easy energy. And he also governs time as well, so the concept of time is kind of being affected, in fact, because it's in T-square with the north node and the south node, Saturn at the same time. As is square to the sun, is also square with the north node and the south node. So more of the north node energy is being highlighted at this time because the sun is right there as well. So that's kind of a more positive outlook in general. It's kind of saying this is where you're heading. Don't forget that the Taurus energy of practicality and kind of steadfastness. Also resourcefulness as well. Resourcefulness is another word that I want to use for this Taurus energy as well. Like being able to kind of stick with something and kind of like, yeah, not give up on something, find ways to do something that might be difficult, might be hard. Taurus does kind of see things as a challenge as well. It's kind of that natural instinct of a Taurus is like to not give up, to kind of, you know, not be beaten by something, not to let something beat it. It's kind of like I'm going to beat it rather than let it beat me kind of energy. And that's all kind of being highlighted at this time with the sun shining his spotlight on the North Node in particular, although he is also opposing the South Node as well. So there is also that energy of having to kind of release all that Scorpio stuff that we may not want to acknowledge. But on the 15th of May, the Sun will then become square exact with Saturn at 24 degrees, also like 55 minutes. But yeah, I think I've just actually said that as well, about the concept of time and how time itself is kind of being affected by this North and South Node energy. But it's also, because it's a T-square as well, it's also putting Saturn as the centre of attention at this time as well. Saturn is all about, or can be about, restriction, and this exact square with Saturn is also followed under an hour later by an exact sextile to Neptune. So again, bringing in that sense of confusion and kind of mystery to things as well. And the Sun is also beginning to become conjunct with a retrograde Mercury, which has now taken up residence in Gemini for the whole of May and June into early July. And so during this 2-week period up to the full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio, we could see a lot more censorship trying to be forced on the populace. We already kind of are. We are already hearing about the Truth Ministry and the banning of or cancelling of certain words and the war on disinformation. We can also expect more flares from our Sun, which will disrupt our magnetic field. I actually heard that there was one that's actually been released quite recently that is heading our way already. And this is going to be very disruptive to our magnetic field, which is going to give us an uptick, pardon me again, sorry, an uptick in earthquake activity, volcanic activity, and anything really related to the weather in general. So these flares or coronal mass ejections, CMEs, could also affect our satellite systems, possibly causing blackouts, which could also be used to blame others for cyber attacks as well. So also watch out for that potential, which will add another layer of confusion to the already chaotic energy within the banking, food chain, resources arena, as well as around what is and isn't fake, manipulated and generally deceptive news. In short, this solar eclipse, new moon in Taurus, is setting the stage for massive amounts of chaos and shaking up in the underpinning of the values of what it is we need in order to survive and thrive in a healthy, happy culture. The planets are showing us that which we all need to see. The old systems are defunct. It is time to embrace the future, a new lifestyle of consciously connecting with the earth and each other, as it is time to embrace the future. So as we will realise very soon, that the Emperor has no clothes. So we're still in that kind of stage of awakening to the truth of things, and the truth is going to be coming out a lot more over these coming eclipse season energies. Sorry, my cat is knocking cards all over the place as well. So if we are to take anything out of Sedna's story, who has also been playing her part in Taurus while she's trining Pluto, it would be to dive deeper beneath the waves, find our centre of stillness and remembrance of who we truly are, while we allow the storm to pass overhead as we transform, rebirth, and take an evolutionary leap into the unknown. And so the Sabian symbol for the 10 degrees of Taurus is a Red Cross nurse with a warm sympathy. So this symbol shows caring, sympathy and nursing others, so they may find health and comfort, which is very interesting because that's kind of what I've been talking about with the empathic energies coming through, I think. You probably have a lot of work of your own, but you may have to give your time to those needing help first. A great deal of inner healing can be achieved when helping. However, this can be difficult when you have to do too much. You may have to cross over to the dark side in order to bring light to situations. Adopt a hands-on attitude when looking after others and ensuring they get their needs met. Compassionate understanding and caring, breaking down borders between oneself and others. Finding reserves of energy to keep going. Giving but also receiving. Healing. So those are the more kind of positive aspects, although I'm not sure what it means by crossing over to the dark side, but then sometimes, you know, infiltration maybe into that kind of energy to see what's actually what's what, or to kind of work with our shadow energy possibly as well, that dark side of ourselves. So the more negative side of this energy is fussing and doing more than one needs to, being a doormat and doing more than your share, being officious and bossy, feeling used and unable to rest. So that's what I'm going to leave that energy on while I pick up my cards from my bad cat. Yes, you, madam, you. They're not purring at me. Bad girl. Right, let's see what the angels of light would like to say to finish off this astrology reading. One more. Actually, if I get time, I might just use those consciousness cards I've got here as well. So, quickly for the angels of light, what is the message for the collective at the time of this new moon, partial solar eclipse in Taurus? New moon, partial total eclipse in Taurus. Okay. We have Serenity. Serenity bestows inner peace, tranquility, and calmness of mind. When you feel serene, you are your own person. For nothing and no one can bother, upset, or influence you. You are like a calm, clear lake, beautiful and peaceful to be with. Your quiet radiance brings hope and support to those who come within your aura. You attract respect and love from others, for all are calmed by you. As you become deeply serene and still, you connect to the higher powers of the universe for divine guidance, and your path in life becomes smooth and flowing. Quietly ask your angel to hold you in serenity. And that really kind of seems to fit that Sedna theme of kind of like going deeper into the calmness and into, like, yeah, into the peace, into the tranquility, into the serenity of ourselves, into that deeper place of knowing. So the affirmation here is, I am serene and still. And it really does seem to fit, for me, that Sedna energy perfectly. Of, as I was saying, you know, as the chaos gets crazier around us, what we need to do is to dive beneath the waves and to find that hidden stillness within ourselves. So, let's see what the consciousness cards would like to tell us. These work through the chakra levels as well. So, okay, I've got two come out here. The first one was nature spirits. I respect all of nature's elemental beings and help preserve life on earth, which is very Taurian energy. Nature spirits, nature in general, getting out into nature, tuning with nature. And we've got the wheel of life. I am guided by the cycles of life and live in complete harmony with them. So again, that kind of going with within and finding your balance in order to be able to connect on a much higher level. If you see there, she's connecting with all inwardly and outwardly. So those are the messages at the time of this new moon in Taurus, partial solar eclipse. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that you've got something from it. You may have got something of interest or learned something. If you have, please could you thumbs it up for me, because it really just helps to grow my channel on this platform, which is what I'm aiming to do. I personally have, at this time, Saturn has kind of stopped squaring my sun, but that's all going to start up again soon when Saturn goes retrograde, and he's actually going to station on top of my sun as well. So not looking forward to that one, but I will be doing more videos over these coming weeks, and hopefully you'll find them of interest as well. So if you want to find out more about those videos, please subscribe to my channel. There is a subscription button on the video that you can tap, and you get that little bell turn out, and you can tap that and it tells you whether or not you want to get my videos as and when I put them out. There is a playlist as well for anybody who's interested. I have put quite a few videos out for just the sun signs as well previously. I haven't done them for a while. Again, this kind of Saturn square thing is yeah, kind of quite restrictive, but I do feel as though it's easing off a bit at this time, so I'm going to try and take more advantage of that energy and put more time and energy into doing this and building my channel as well. So please, if you want to be a part of that and help me with that, then that would be great. I would love to have you come along with me on this journey of self-discovery and mystery, and hopefully kind of exciting experiences along the way. So also, if you want to comment on my video, please do that down below as well, because it is nice to get some feedback. It also shows the platform that people are actually listening to my videos and actually taking some notice, even if it's just like a thumbs up on the actual comment page as well. That really does make a difference and helps my channel to be noticed by the platform and the algorithms, etc, etc. So I'm going to finish it there. Say thank you very much to those of you who have watched this video. Also thank you very much to those of you who share my videos, and for liking and for subscribing and for being there on a personal level as well. And please have a wonderful solar partial eclipse new moon in Taurus, and hopefully we'll see you all again soon. Take really good care of yourselves at this time, and until next time, see you later.